Dungeon Quest Remastered has officially surpassed the original Dungeon Quest and it is mind-breaking. A game that was once a small passion project meant to bring back the OG feel of Dungeon Quest to a small community has suddenly risen to almost 1k players during peak times. However, this popularity didn't happen overnight, and today I'll be explaining the very reason why this game made it so much better than the Voldex version. Dungeon Quest is infamous for having one of the biggest downfalls in Roblox history, going from hundreds of thousands of players to just a little under 1k active players. Sure, the game wasn't flawless, but for many players it created a remarkable moment during the 2019 to 2023 era. The original owner, vCafe, continuously updated the game, pushing out dungeon after dungeon and expanding the game's content. But soon, in 2023, vCafe will make a groundbreaking decision that altered the game's course forever. They sold the game to a developer group called Voldex, due to several reasons such as burnout and scaling/balancing. At first, Voldex was actually improving the game, adding changes that were generally good. However, later on, they started to brutally nerf the game and completely ruined the game's balancing. Dungeon Quest was known for being the most grindy game at the time, with the hardest dungeon being the Gilded Skies before Voldex bought the game. This is the sole reason why this game was popular in the first place, because the game would quickly ramp up in difficulty as you progressed. The most notable nerfs were Aquatic Temple and Gilded Skies, dungeons that once required squads of 10 plus people to beat with maxed out gear from the previous dungeons now were soloable with almost god pod gear, which is too big of a nerf. Notably, Voldex reworked boss raids and made them drop ranks which heavily boosted your damage and was looked down upon by the community, as not only were all of the dungeons nerfed, but the power scaling of the player was also unbalanced now. Not only that, but they also added a mini-boss called Greg. He would randomly spawn during dungeons, and if you managed to kill him, he would give you loot from your current dungeon. If you haven't noticed already, that feature was too broken. If you were stuck in a dungeon, you could just farm Greg as his HP scaled with your damage, so he will always be possible to kill. Voldex released 2 new dungeons past Gilded Skies. From my experience, I don't know much about these dungeons, however from what I've heard, they are pretty boring and easy compared to the older dungeons. Lastly, they heavily monetized the game, adding 2x EXP which was never in the old game to maximize the profit. As a result, from the community backlash, player count dwindling, and lack of income compared to their bigger games, they discontinued it permanently. It is truly sad how they ruined such a beautiful game so fast. Enter Dungeon Quest Remastered. DQR is an unofficial / semi-official Dungeon Quest fork that is hyper-focused on bringing back the OG feeling of Dungeon Quest. They achieved this by using the old game's files and adding a few quality of life features that were heavily requested by the community for years. So, let's go over the most important factors on why this game succeeded so hard over the original Dungeon Quest. First and foremost, we have the complete removal of monetization. Instead of paying your hard-earned Robux on an overpriced 2000 Robux Game Pass, you can just use gold. However, the devs were clever. They added dungeon scaling, so every dungeon it will scale higher. This is mainly to prevent players from buying it too early in the game, which works flawlessly. Although some players bypass the system by asking higher level players to max out their trash, it is still unreliable as they need to often overpay with legendaries for one single game pass. Another interesting change are the cosmetics. They added 3 chests, rare, epic and legendary, albeit only the legendary chest is worth it. And the currency for buying them is gems, which you simply earn from each dungeon run. You can gain up to 500 gems per dungeon and a minimum of 200 per run. Great quality of life feature honestly, you no longer need to grind for cosmetics, instead you can just gamble for them. Don't forget, that this game has the old balancing, UI and elements, so literally everything is the exact same as in 2020 to 2021, with only one nerf from Aquatic Temple, which is a 15% HP nerf, as they don't want you to have squads of 5 people or carries just to beat one dungeon. Have you noticed how this game is normally private for regular players? Well, that is their most clever strategy to get players to actually play their game, and it is genius. Here's how it essentially works. They have a closed community game, and you might be like, what even is the point of it? Well, first of all, it helps protect them from any Voldex copyright claims that they might make. Since they technically aren't a public game, to some extent it does help. Second of all, it groups the whole community together. What I mean with this is that if you ever need to message someone directly from Roblox, you can just search them up in the Discord, and since they have to be in the Discord to even be verified, communicating with other players has never been easier. This also filters out bots and other malicious players who just want to ruin your experience. So this game's players are 100% unique, unlike other games which are heavily modded or have multiple accounts. The closed community system literally solves most of their issues, and the best part is that it's such a simple process. All you have to do is join the Discord, send in a request with a format, and in about 1 to 3 days, they will accept you.
Just like any other game, you cannot predict the game's future. However, you can make solid guesses. For any veteran player out here watching this video, here is what you can expect for this game's lifespan. As of this video's date, Enchanted Forest is the latest dungeon, and they release a new dungeon every 3 weeks. After the Gilded Skies, supposedly they won't continue adding dungeons. However, do not fret. This doesn't necessarily mean that the game is gonna have an inevitable downfall, and let me tell you why. First things first, the owner never stated that they will abandon the game after the last dungeon, so you can expect new quality of life updates in the future. Supporting this claim, you also have the fact that he stated this when the game was smaller. This game has literally surpassed the original, which is a very positive sign, and remember, this is a closed community game. Next up, you can expect multiple more updates, other than dungeons, such as new ultimates, which was the most recent update. The game is still unfinished as they need to fix bugs from the old dungeon quest, and actually polish the game properly, so this game isn't dying in the foreseeable future.
Short answer, yes. If you played Dungeon Quest during its golden era, this game is definitely for you, as you'll be able to relive your past memories with this game. Even if you're a new player, this game is definitely a blast, and you will have a lot of fun learning all the dungeons and bosses. Plus, it's free. Anyone can literally join the community, so please continue supporting this game by playing it. And don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.